The verdict is out. The Karnataka High Court has upheld the ban on hijab in government educational institutions in the state, and its ramifications are potentially huge. But what did the court say, and how did it exactly justify the ban? I'll tell you in this episode of KYC, or Know Your Constitution. Now, let's start with what the court said on wearing hijab being an essential religious practice. Why did it go into this question in the first place? Essentially, Article 25 of the Constitution guarantees the freedom of conscience and the right to freely profess, practice and propagate religion. But this right isn't absolute and is subject to public order, morality, health and other fundamental rights as well. While Article 25 itself does not read any other condition into the protection of this right, courts over the years have ruled that this right would only protect essential religious practices and not all religious practices. And who gets to decide what is essential for a religion and what isn't? It is the judges who do so, and that's where a large part of the criticism against this test emerges from. But that's a topic for another video. Now, coming back to this case, the court has now held that wearing hijab is not an essential religious practice under Islam. And how did it come to this conclusion? It basically referred to various verses of the Quran to make its point. For example, it said that Quran does not make it mandatory to wear hijab. It only directs this, and it said that there was no penalty for not wearing the hijab. So it also said that it is not as if Muslim women don't wear hijab, they become sinners, Islam loses its glory, or it ceases to be a religion. So on these pointers, it said that wearing hijab is not an essential religious practice and is at best a cultural practice. Now, another constitutional argument in the case revolved around Article 19 of the Constitution and the freedom of speech and expression under it. The petitioners had argued that a person's personal appearance or choice of dressing is protected under the freedom of expression under Article 19. But the court did not agree with this. It rejected this argument, saying that schools are qualified public places and that such spaces, and I quote, by their very nature repel the assertion of individual rights to the detriment of their general discipline and decorum. Lots of heavy words, but basically the court said that a dress code can't violate a student's individual right to expression. It accepted the fact that what you want to wear is a part of your autonomy and expression, but it said that this is also subject to reasonable regulation and restriction. So, to sum it up, it ruled, and I quote, that the prescription of school uniform is only a reasonable restriction constitutionally permissible which the students cannot object to. So, it's reasonable and as well as constitutionally permissible. Now, apart from these constitutional questions, the court was also considering the question whether schools have the power to prescribe a uniform, and it said that they definitely do so. Why this question came up was because the college development councils there had issued orders prescribing the uniform and banning hijab. On 5th February this year, the Karnataka government had also passed an order under the Karnataka Education Act 1983. As per reports, this order said that a headscarf is not a part of the uniform and that wearing a headscarf is not an essential religious practice for Muslims that can be protected under the constitution. It also quoted judgments of various courts to argue that banning hijabs in schools and colleges is not a violation of fundamental rights to practice religion. So while it didn't expressly ban hijab, this government order sort of extended its support to this ban and to this restriction. But the court now basically upheld all these orders. In fact, the court said that if students are left free to choose their clothes for school, it would lead to indiscipline and chaos, first in the campus and later in the society. Lastly, the petitioners had also requested that they should be permitted to maybe wear hijab matching their uniform and along with their uniform, but the court did not allow this argument and this request as well, saying that this would create two categories of female students, those who wear the hijab and those who don't with their uniform, so it didn't permit this as well. So in brief, the court also said that insistence on wearing a parda or a veil or a headgear in any community may hinder the process of emancipation of women and Muslim women in particular. It said that prescription of a school uniform which excludes any sort of religious attire is a step forward. So this is what the 129-page Karnataka High Court judgment said, but just to let you know, an appeal against this decision has already been filed in the Supreme Court. So we'll now have to see what the Supreme Court says and how it deals with this entire issue. This is Apoorva Mandhani for ThePrint. For more such videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.